Hello, Junior 5 students, how are you? This is your time to study science. Okay, as we will study now lesson 5 from concept 1, unit 3. This is me, Shaimaa Hamdy, and you are watching the Big Sister channel. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also to press the bell button to get the all new notifications. So are you ready to start our lesson? It's a very easy lesson that you will enjoy studying it, okay? I promise you. Yes, we have activity 9 here. Okay, we will talk about some examples for the aquatic ecosystems. We talked before about the aquatic ecosystems, and we knew that aquatic ecosystem means the water ecosystem. They may be fresh water or salt water. Okay, now we'll start our lesson, but we have 2 questions here. We need to answer them. First, rainwater and bays are part of lithosphere. What do you think? If this sentence is right? Of course, this is wrong, because rainwater and bays are parts of hydrosphere. Yes. And the second question we have, streams contain fresh water while seas contain salt water. Yes, streams contain fresh water while seas contain salt water. Okay, that's great. So now we will compare between some characteristics and species. What's the meaning of species? Yes, living organisms. Okay, as kinds of living organisms. So in our lesson today, we will compare between some characteristics and species that live in 3 different aquatic ecosystems. What are those 3 aquatic ecosystems? Ponds, streams, and the third one, oceans and seas. Okay? As you see here, what is the pond? As you see here, it's smaller than the lake. Okay? And this is a stream. We studied before that the stream is flowing water body, which is smaller than the river, as the water flows in the stream and the river. Okay? Not as the lakes and ponds, the water still in them doesn't flow. Okay? So here we have the last ecosystem that we have, which is, as you see, seas and oceans. So we will start with the ponds. Okay? As you know, the type of the water in the ponds is fresh water or salt water. And the water movement, still water or flowing, running water. So we know that the ponds have fresh water, yes, and the water movement, still water, as the water doesn't flow. Okay? Okay. What about the species that live in ponds? As we have here the frog. Okay. Also we have salamander. And we studied before the frogs and salamander. Okay. And worms. As you see here, those are the 3 examples for the species that live in the ponds. Okay. Frogs, salamander, and worms. Now we will talk about stream. So the question here, what is the type of water in the stream? Is it fresh water or salt water? And what about the movement? Water movement. Is it still water or running water? So the answer here, yes, the type of water in the stream is fresh water. Okay, so ponds and streams have fresh water. And the water movement in the streams is running water, as the water flows as you see here in the stream, okay? So this is the difference between the pond and streams, as the water flows or runs in the stream, but in the ponds, the water movement is still water, okay? The water doesn't flow. Also, another characteristic for the streams that the water is cool and flows fast, as you see here, okay? Cool and flow fast, okay? So what about the species that live in the streams? We have catfish. This is a catfish, okay? It lives in fresh water as streams, okay? And we have salmon, okay? So 2 examples for the species that live in the stream: catfish and salmon. Salmon or trout, okay? As you see them. Now we will talk about the oceans and seas, okay? And we know the type of water in the oceans and seas. Is it fresh water or salt water? And what about the water movement in the ocean and seas? That's what we will know now, okay? First, the type of water. Yes, as you say, salt water, yes. And the water movement, as you see in this picture, it's constantly moving in form of waves. As constantly means all the time, okay? The water moves in a form of waves, as we know, yes? And about the species that live in oceans and seas, we have here the first one is kelp. And kelp is a type of algae, okay, that lives in oceans and seas, as you see here. Also, we have dolphin. We all know the dolphin. And we have the starfish. Starfish lives in oceans and seas, okay? And we have the species that we will know, the Moses fish, a flounder fish. What the meaning of flounder fish? As you see here, flounder means flat, as it's a flat fish, okay? As you see here, this is examples for the flounder fish, as it is white, but it has a small thickness. So, as the Moses fish, which is a flounder fish, okay? Okay, now I want you to know that oceans and seas include many smaller ecosystems. We know that the oceans and seas are the largest aquatic ecosystems. As we studied before, you remember that we have different ecosystems in the oceans and seas, like shallow areas and deepest areas. Each one of them has different species live in them and different characteristics. Yes, as we studied. In the shallow area, we have the coral reefs and the intertidal zone, and in the deepest area, we have the abyssal zone, in which the sunlight doesn't reach to it because it is very deep. So it has organisms that live in it that adapt to these characteristics, okay? So oceans and seas include many smaller ecosystems, okay? And the second thing that I want you to know, ocean water circulates. What the meaning of circulates? Go in circles, okay? Around the world in patterns called what? Ocean currents, as you see here. As the water circulates around the world in a pattern, okay, which is called ocean currents. Ocean currents. As we see here, this is the ocean currents, a map for the ocean currents. We have, as you see, red lines and blue lines, which represent the currents, the warm and the cold currents, okay? And the last thing that we have example for the interaction between the biosphere as the species that we discussed and the hydrosphere, as we have the catfish, which is the biosphere that lives in the cool flowing water, as which is the hydrosphere. So there is interaction between biosphere and hydrosphere. With this point, we finish our lesson. I hope you enjoy it. So thank you for watching and goodbye.